Kia ora and welcome to Astro Musical Interventions, a podcast dedicated to expansive openings for the heart and mind through an astrological lens. My name is Kāren Hunter, though I'm often called Kāren. As we build up to midwinter, the longest night, the shortest day, the festival of Matariki, we are experiencing in 2025 a great deal of intensity. Jupiter has just ingressed into Cancer, the sign of the home, nurturing the mother, the child. But Jupiter has walked into a square to Saturn and also to Neptune, both at the first degrees of Aries, the points of beginning, the fresh cycle. These squares are not easy. And squares are conflicted aspects. They offer grist to the mill. Squares offer us something we have to move through and work through. So for all its benefic qualities, the squares to Neptune, the planet of confusion and divinity, spirituality and dissolving, and Saturn, the planet of restriction and karma, dogma, rules, regulations, focus. Mars square Uranus is not only bringing us shocking trauma, though it is definitely doing that, but at the same time it is bringing us energy for revolutionary awakening. This aspect can awaken our spirit, our survival instinct, and this is our birthright as humans. As the higher octave of Mercury, Uranus speaks to refined communication, intellectual capacity, communicating with the cosmos, ultimately removing all illusion of separation. Uranus is a sudden change. When Uranus was discovered, it was a shock. Previous to this discovery, there were 5 planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, in addition to the luminaries, the sun and the moon. And this was the status quo for thousands of years before the discovery of the telescope. So Uranus represents sudden change that alters our perspective massively. Last night I woke, and what came to mind was how the dissemination of information on the news feeds, the state-controlled media, the alternative sources of information, how this variety of information is creating such confusion. It's very Neptunian. Neptune, the god of the sea, Poseidon, can connect us with divinity, deep spirituality, music, art, fantasy, and of course escapism at the extreme. But the shadow of Neptune is dissolving, confusion, just not knowing truth from fiction. It feels so evident in these moments where we have firmly held beliefs contrasted with so-called scientific facts, contrasted with what may be alternative scientific facts, contrasted with learnt experience, looking at the world from so far away, like looking at the Northern Hemisphere's troubles from here in the Southern Hemisphere. There are certainly parallels politically. We definitely have issues here in Aotearoa which are critical for the future with regards to equality between people, respect, and understanding how the things that play out today are the result of what happened yesterday, and how we need to make effort to correct some of the travesties that occurred in the past. This is no joke. This is no light-hearted matter. This is not something that can be resolved with a love heart on a comment or an angry face when somebody says something that we disagree with. These differences we have generationally, racially, culturally, the impact of colonization on a country such as New Zealand has been extreme. Well, when we look to the Northern Hemisphere at this moment and see the tragedies that are playing out in so many countries, it's hard not to foresee how these are the logical result of similar blindnesses to the needs of people, to the needs of brown bodies, to the needs of indigenous cultures. Keeping the heart open is absolutely necessary. And when faced with Neptune and Saturn conjunct in the first degrees of Aries, we can see how Neptune is creating such incredible disturbances in our ability to understand what is going on. And Saturn is coming in like an authoritarian energy, wanting to legislate, wanting to control, to create boundaries between people and around people, to imprison people, to create rules and legislations and arrests. And these two forces working together is very complicated. Now that Jupiter is in Cancer, perhaps we will discover some easing, but because Jupiter is presently square Saturn and moving into square Neptune in just a few days, it's likely that these situations will become more extreme or more pronounced, that the confusion or the need for authoritarian solutions to very complicated multidimensional problems, that this tendency will become more expanded. And as we move towards a new moon on the 25th of June, we will find in this moment the Sun, the Moon and Jupiter all conjunct in the first degrees of Cancer. When a lunation like a new moon happens right on top of an aspect like Jupiter square Saturn and Neptune, it's common for this to act like a spark that creates a blaze, an inferno. And it's our job to breathe into these spaces, searching out and promoting the positive manifestations. Because we can see all around us what the worst case scenarios are. There's even pieces in the news feeds from some of the mainstream medias saying, what's the worst that could happen? But I think it's our responsibility as humans to think, well, what's the best that could happen? And what are some alternatives to the narratives that we think we have to align with just in order to live here? I've just been looking at the Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz, where he's speaking about the agreements that we make with ourselves, with our families, and with society, the agreement to align with a certain paradigm. And that as we mature and individuate, it is up to us to decide how we want to frame our reality. And if we want to live in a different paradigm, then it is up to us to create that reality. It's not a game or something we can impose upon other people. It's an internal path that requires tenacity. And tenacity is the positive side of what Saturn offers as an archetypal energy. The tenacity to keep showing up, to create boundaries around what we want to step into. And although the Neptunian forces are continually dissolving, the Saturnian forces are continually building. The first agreement, be impeccable with your word. And this is, of course, necessary for us to have self-awareness when we speak of impeccability with our word. Taking ourselves seriously, allowing ourselves to be honourable in what we say and do. It's easy to make promises that we don't keep to ourselves as well as to each other. And we do this with regards to behaviours, common habits, as we try to walk the path of positivity and grace. So impeccability with our word is not so much giving ourselves a hard time when we don't step up, but like a continuing refocusing towards a direction that we want to go in. The second agreement, don't take anything personally. It's one of the hardest things I find. is to acknowledge that people are doing their best and expressing emotions, expressing themselves in the best way that they can, and see the person behind the action, or the person behind the panic, the fear, the tension, the anxiety. Then we can recreate each day. Jupiter in Cancer brings expansive, loving, harmony and nurturing whichever house it sits in our chart. And as Jupiter moves through Cancer over the next year, once it's past this acute tension with Neptune and Saturn, the square, we will find that we are able to build gradually, slowly, patiently, with tenacity, and increase the beautiful energy coming to that area of our chart. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, and here we can find ourselves home. The third agreement, don't make assumptions. And this ties into the previous one about not taking things personally. If we can listen to what people are saying to us and to what people are doing and to what the world is offering, without assuming the worst, without assuming people are hurting us or wishing us anything but good. If we can see things afresh and allow ourselves to stay in the moment, then we have a chance of moving towards a positive outcome. And the fourth agreement, always do your best. This is an exalted way to be. To always do our best, to keep showing up for not just each other, but showing up for the parts of ourselves that need to be strong for us to go out into the world and make a difference. To always do our best, to keep exploring, explore new ways of being, encouraging our artist selves, and to see through the artist lens. It's a beautiful use of Neptunian energy. Pautakawa waiti waita waipunarangi tupu anuku tupu